Welcome to the V.I.B.E Living Podcast, a podcast that talks about topics for women over 40. You know, that time of your life that many call midlife. That time of life when you can really vibe, be vibrant, intuitive, beautiful, and emerge. Join me, Lynnis Mullins, certified holistic living and wellness expert for women over 40, as I talk about a variety of topics that address the wellness of the mind, body, and spirit for women over 40. Remember, midlife doesn't mean no life. Midlife is an opportunity to increase your self-love, your self-care, and your self-worth. It's your time to be vibrant, intuitive, beautiful, and emerged. It's your time to vibe. So come on, let's vibe.
Hello, everybody. It's Lynnis, and come on, let's vibe. Welcome back to the V.I.B.E Living Podcast. I'm so glad you've decided to spend a few moments with us. I know there are literally thousands of podcasts that are out there, and you could choose to be listening to any of them. So anytime that you spend with us, I am really excited. As you know, my name is Lynnis Mullins, and I'm a holistic living and wellness expert for women over 40. And I really do believe in the whole idea of women being able to vibe in midlife, because I don't think that midlife means no life. I think that midlife is an opportunity for us to be more vibrant, more intuitive, more beautiful, and more empowered to live that vibe life that we all should be living. And today I have what I would say a very special guest. I always say I'm excited about the guests. They're all special, but she truly is special. Full disclosure, she is my biz bestie. And also I also do work for her. We work together. But most importantly, I believe in her mission. The mission to help women let go of the whole idea of dieting and taking on a wellness lifestyle that serves them well into their midlife journey. And the other reason why I so admire our guest, Sheila Kelty, is that she's the real deal. She actually has done what she talks about. She started out on a mission healing herself. And, Sheila, I know a little bit about you here and there. We've been working together for a while, but a lot of the people out here who are listening do not know your whole story. So Sheila Kelty, first of all, welcome to the V.I.B.E Living Podcast. It's wonderful having you here today.
Thank you, Lynnis, for having me join you. I just love everything about you. Talking about vibing. You and I have vibed since the minute we met. We clicked, and I could not run my business or my life without about Lynnis being a friend and a colleague and someone I really look up to. So thank you for having me on the show today.
Oh, wow. Okay. Violence, tears coming.
Yeah,
video. So tell us, Sheila, about you. How did you get into this whole undiet thing? What's your story? Why are you so passionate about women being able to release unwanted pounds and inches and get healthy by not doing it through traditional means?
Mainly because I had done it or tried to through traditional means myself. Only 5 short years ago, I was 130 pounds heavier than I am now. I was in my mid-50s. I was told my life was short. It was going to end soon. I was in an electric wheelchair after more than a dozen spinal surgeries, severely diabetic, severely, riddled with lupus and all kinds of fibromyalgia and problems. And I was told, that's it. It's the end. Just, there's nothing we can do for you. You can't move, so you can't lose weight. See ya. And I have a dance background as well as you do. And we've talked about that. I've been on a diet since I was 5 years old. And someone told me I was a chubby little girl and go home and get on Weight Watchers, back in the late 60s. And I've been on everything known to man. I've tried it all. And when I hit midlife, the same solutions, the rice cakes, Dannon non-fat yogurt and Tab that we lived on all throughout the 70s and 80s, just wasn't working anymore. The working myself out to death I couldn't do from an electric wheelchair at the time. And I really was without a path forward. I didn't understand anything about how my body really worked. I was lost in this diet industry, this $60 billion a year industry that's built on repeat customers. You have to fail, so they keep making money every year.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Isn't that interesting that our health industry is based upon are staying sick in order for them to stay in business.
Yes. And then we go to our doctors, our authorities, right? And we say, hey, help me. I need to lose weight. Yes, they agree. You're severely diabetic. Your A1C is over 9. I was severely diabetic. I had, the whole insulin thing going on and 5 medications for diabetes and the whole 9 yards. And I was just waiting to wake up blind one day. I just didn't know what was going to be going on with me. And it was not a future I wanted. They sent me to a therapist to get used to the fact that I was going to die young. And he said, I'm not going to talk you into that. Why don't you use that brain of yours and go find something? I'd already retired from my first career as I had an IT company, and I had retired, to take care of my health, and I didn't have to work. But I went back and started digging about how my body works. I had to figure out, how does this thing work? Because I could not accept that there was not an answer. I just couldn't that what they were telling me to limit my calories and work out more. And I said, do you see this chair? What am I supposed to do?
That's not going to work. Right.
It's going to work. And I'm eating air. I don't know what you want me to take out. I'm not eating anything.
You said you're eating air. Basically, you just weren't eating anything anymore. And you're still not losing weight.
You all know what I'm talking about. When you just like, your weight goes up, you're like, I don't know how. And people look at you like, yeah, right. It's like, no, really, I'm not eating anything. So I had to figure it out. And it was a very long process. I didn't have a coach. I didn't have a way. I didn't know what was going on. And I stumbled across something that made sense, which was the education about how my body works, getting a user's manual together. And I got my old education tools out. I got a 3-ring binder and all that. I started really just digging into, how does this thing work? We're not told how it works. Mm-hmm. And I was told I didn't have willpower and everything. And after being a ballerina for 25 years, you've got plenty of willpower to starve yourself to get into whatever and do that. So along the way, I started dropping weight, started out being vegan, thought that was the way to go, plant-based. I was told that was healthy, only made me more diabetic because the choices were very high. I was the worst vegan, in the full disclosure. The VEG part of vegan was lost on me. I was like, well, rice is vegan and bread is vegan and pasta is vegan. And plus I was eating all the meat alternative Beyond Burger things that are just full of junk and full of processed foods. I was just getting sicker and sicker and sicker on 23 medications a day, including an immunosuppressant that had shut down my immune system at one point. I was in ICU because I had immune collapse. I was knocking at death's door. Well, I figured it out. And all of a sudden weight started flying off of me. I was eating my body weight in food every day. I was just enjoying everything I was doing. I'm like, hey, this is pretty cool. I got out of the electric wheelchair. My lupus is so far in remission. My rheumatologist today said I couldn't diagnose you as even having lupus anymore. If I didn't know your history, I'd say you didn't, that you were misdiagnosed. My fibromyalgia went away. My diabetes went away. My A1C is now 5.1. I have no sugar cravings anymore. I have no hypoglycemia. I don't have any of my seizure disorders or anything of the neurological issues I had. My depression is gone. My anxiety disorder is gone. I'm sleeping like a baby. And it was just getting about the time for COVID at this point, when that all was going on. And I said, this is a pretty cool transformation I've had. This is pretty amazing. I got my life back. I have options. I have another chapter in my life, or 2 or 3, that I never thought I'd have before. I mean, I didn't think I was going to be vertical and walking. Yeah.
And at this point, when the pandemic began, how much weight had you lost up to that point?
I had lost 90 pounds up to that point. I thought I was done.
You lost a person. You lost a person, basically.
I was down to 200.
Wow.
Like 195 to it, like the Wonderland had hit. And I was like, look at me. I'm in my smaller clothes. And my doctor's like, you're still obese. I'm like, that's rude. He goes, it's not rude. It's a diagnosis. Mm-hmm. You have the disease of obesity. And I had to learn about the permanent consequences people have when they're obese, that it's not like overweight. You can drop some weight. When you're obese, there are health consequences.
Absolutely.
He said, you are not done. You feel light as a feather because you're almost 300, but you have a ways to go. So then I lost another 40 pounds and was feeling great. Now I'm in my 150s, somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. And it stays there. And I don't think about food. I have an effortless relationship with food in my body. I jump out of bed like 6th grade. I eat whatever's not nailed down. I just know the rules now. I have a working guide for my body.
And this is one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on, because I know I'm going to be releasing this podcast a little bit earlier than my new season. This is towards the end of my 5th season. So this is kind of a special podcast that I'm doing. So I want to make sure people hear about this before the end of 2023. For those of you who are listening to this like 5 years later, this is November. This is November of 2023 that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And you get to this point where you are out of a place of healthy weight. And I know you begin to develop some products and programs and services to help people. But the reason why I really wanted you on at this particular time of the year is that we're getting ready to head into the holidays.
Yes.
And I know you all have heard it all before about how to lose weight in the holidays, how not to gain weight on the holidays, how to eat healthy on the holidays, how to not do this, how to not do that. But Sheila has a really particular message that I think is unique, that is based upon the results that she was just telling you about. First of all, here's my first question around this part as we begin to talk more about what you're going to be doing for holidays. Holidays is full of the most toxic substance that everybody eats every single day, sometimes without realizing it, and that is sugar. And I know in order for you to let go of that extra person you were carrying around, you had to get rid of a lot of the sugar. How did you do that? How did you begin to get rid of sugar in your diet?
Slowly at first and then all at once. It really is a hard habit to break. We are told if you take your diabetes medications, for instance, you can go eat all the sugar you want. Go ahead. You know, we got you covered with metformin or Jardiance or whatever it is.
Right.
Now, these days it's Ozempic. But I knew that the only way sugar was getting in my body is through my mouth. It wasn't coming in through the air, through my shoes or my clothes. I was putting it in my mouth, and I had to learn. Remember, health is learned, success is a skill. This is what I learned. Health is learned, success is a skill, and that I'm far more in charge of my health journey than I ever thought I was. I was in charge. And it's, you know, I have my affirmations I love, and mine is I am totally in charge of my life. So
I love it.
This is what I learned. I'm not out of control. I don't have this out of control body. And all of you listening, you think you may not be in control. Oh, my body's doing what it wants to do. You are in charge of your health journey far more than you think you are. And the key is learning. The success you want to have is a skill. It's a muscle. You can learn to be successful. So at first, I had to learn what sugar is. Now, sugar is not just the white stuff on the table that you sprinkle that's sweet. It's also in the form of every carbohydrate you put in your mouth. Remember I told you I was like a carbitarian rather than a vegan? All of those carbs were sugar. They turn into glucose in your system, whether you like it or not. And no, all the fiber they tell you to eat does not erase it at all. It may slow it down a little bit, but it's still loading your body with a substance that's twice as addictive as heroin and cocaine combined. And it's not your fault. They put sugar in everything. When you go out to eat and the green beans taste better out at this restaurant, they're putting handfuls of sugar into green beans at restaurants.
And let's talk about that real quickly, because they're doing it for a reason. And I know the reason, but share with them what goes on when we ingest sugar and the glucose in the brain, and how we begin to get dependent on that.
Well, to take one step back, the cornerstone of all disease, no matter what disease it is inflammation. The number one inflammatory substance that enters our body and sets this fire, it's the match, is sugar. It is that very first domino. And if you remember, the only way it gets in is through your mouth. So if you do not put those things in your mouth, the domino effect's not going to happen. That inflammation's not going to take off. Your chronic inflammation's going to go down. Your autoimmune disease is going to go down. Your weight is going to go down. Your gut's going to be healthier. Your body's going to be able to heal from all of this dis-ease that you have been through and all the suffering you've been through. Your body does not want to be overweight, ladies. It doesn't. And all you need to do is give it what it wants and get out of the way. Let it do its thing. Like I said, my weight just fell off. It did. And that's what happens with my clients. They're like, whoa, that fell off. I'm like, yeah. Because your body doesn't want it either.
Are you saying that basically in order to be successful in the kinds of programs that you do with women, we have to give up carbs completely? No more carbs?
That's not what I'm saying. Carbohydrates are all different. They're good, bad, and ugly, just like everything else that's out there. Now, the big baddie is, of course, like the corn syrups, and the glucose, the straight up sugar, cane sugar that's in things. You can see it says sugar, right, is on there. Absolutely, high fructose corn syrup and all of that. The next highest one that is one that's hidden that we don't really see all that much is fruit. Most fruit is nature's dessert and is super high in sugar. Now, there are a bunch of fruits that are not high in the glycemic scale, like berries, apples, pears, things that you can have. And we get carbohydrates on everything that I do through vegetables, good foods, well-sourced foods, all good foods on the planet have some carbs involved in them. But you have to take a look at either the highly processed ones. And remember, because they are pre-chewed food, they're pre-processed food, it's going to be so bioavailable in your body. It is designed in a chemistry lab to hit your body like a Mack truck and make you want more. That whole Lay's potato chips, you can't eat just one.
Oh my gosh. If I take one barbecue potato chip, it's all over. That bag is mine.
And that is not a you problem, Lynnis. That is not because you're weak. That is not because, Lynnis just has no self-control. It is designed in a lab that way. There was a book called Fat, Salt, Sugar by a New York Times journalist. I can't remember, Tom somebody. But he found out that the Lay's industry figured out how to get the fat, salt, sugar combo to hit that bliss center of your brain and light it up so that you literally can't have just one. Remember, I said it's twice as addictive as heroin and cocaine combined. So a lot of this is not your fault. And what do the holiday foods make up? Mostly sugar, cakes, cookies, stuffing, potatoes, gravy, cranberry sauce, pumpkin pie, sugar, and then a little sprinkling of sugar with some sugar on the side. But
so you get to a point because you're already struggling with this during the year, maybe not as much, but during the year, you may have even been able to lose a few pounds and feeling pretty good about yourself, looking good in that holiday dress. But then you are faced with all of the foods that are not just good for you, but are going to take you away from your goal of maintaining that weight. Now, that's where you come in, because if they have access to this fantastic program that you've been telling me about and that we've been discussing, they have more than a chance of not just maintaining, but losing weight during the holidays, which is almost like, what?
And it's even more than that. It's getting through the holidays unscathed.
Yes, it's right.
Stress, financial burden, dealing with the difficult people, Uncle George and his big opinions and so forth. It's all like, what am I going to, oh my gosh, the holiday, the stress that goes up just when you see the pumpkin spice latte hit Starbucks in August. You're like, oh no, it's coming.
Uncle George will have you drinking the alcohol, that's sugar, getting some sweet potato pie, that's sugar, having some extra potatoes and gravy, that's all sugar, all just to keep your mouth full so that you don't go haul off and cuss Uncle George out.
Well, what I developed years ago, and this is the fourth year we've had this available. It's the Ultimate Holiday Reboot. Wonderful. It's a 7-week course, starts next week on November 15th. I know it's November 15th. It's the week before Thanksgiving when you shop for all your Thanksgiving food, ladies, next week. I know. But we take this week by week. We reboot the holiday menu. So they're healthy things that are delicious that you can eat and swim through, eat your body weight of and enjoy. Not gain weight, feed your body well, and have everybody enjoy it. Wonderful things. We take each one of the classics, reboot them. I'm a foodie. I love food. And
I do too.
Say so myself, I'm a pretty darn good cook. We do live cooking classes. So once a week, there's a live class. Yes, there's a live class. You can cook along with, or you can just take notes. There's all the handouts, recipes, lessons, weekly lessons. But this year, Lynnis, we're also having some special guests on. Every year, people ask me for 2 things. Another voice about self-care. And we have our very dear friend, Jackie Taylor, who is the face yoga lady, the facelift without knives and needles lady that we work with, who is a rebooter, graduated, from my program really well. She's coming on and doing a whole self-care during the holiday week that we're doing. So you get all of that and the live sessions with her. But you're also getting Maddie Pydell, my new friend that I've made, who is a financial coach. And she's going to be talking about how to not go into deep debt during the holidays and dread opening your mailbox with the credit card statements in
Oh, that is
January.
so huge, because we always
Yes.
hearing about getting help for stress, getting help for eating, getting help for recipes, but getting help with dealing with the stress of the finances. That is huge, because that can pull you into wanting to eat more, getting depressed, anxious, and all of that. So that's fantastic. Now, I know that the holiday reboot is part of a bigger picture that's coming out. And if you could talk about that, because there's going to be some people who will listen to this after the holidays.
Okay.
Although I know that this program will be available again at different times, but this was the starting program because of when you're starting the Reboot Academy.
Right.
Now, let me just tell my listeners this. The Reboot Academy is kind of like your one-stop shop for things that you need to know that are wellness oriented, things about sleep, affirmations, things having to do with your weight loss, things having to do with other kinds of things that come into your area of concern as you age, especially when you're over 40. So tell us about that.
Well, the Reboot Academy was born out of all of the smaller classes that I do. Like, some people just aren't ready for a big 16-week reboot program. And they would really, really like to be able to just take one small class on getting their sleep better, bringing stress down, dealing with difficult people at work, like whatever those mindset habit shift, starting a functional fitness program, having daily affirmations or tips come to you, or deal with the holidays or any one of those like seasonal things that we do as well. We do a whole get ready for summer thing in the spring. So there's different times a year, there's going to be seasonal things, but it is an academy. Is it a place to go to learn? It's for the women over 40 who value their health, who are on a health journey, who know that health is learned and success is a skill, and they want to go find a place to go work that muscle, to go learn some things about their health that they can implement right away. And there's every possible price point, length, topic available. We're starting out with a holiday reboot and daily affirmations and a couple things that we're starting with. But I wanted to offer anybody within the sound of my voice on this amazing podcast to be able to take advantage of the early bird release we have right now with a 20% discount code that we can get off to you. We'll provide that. But we want to get as many people as possible being able to take the ultimate holiday reboot, because it's going to set up your new year with the intention to be vibrant, vital, thriving, vibing, and ready to hit the new year ground running.
I love that. Everybody's always talking about, what's going to happen. It's almost like December 31st, you go to sleep one way and you wake up January 1st and you're this way. But actually, here's the real deal on this, folks. It's just one day. It's just one day. But the idea of preparing by starting, now, so that when you hit the beginning of the first month of the year, you're already kind of predestined, preordained to continue successfully losing weight, getting better, feeling better by enrolling and taking other classes in the Reboot Academy. And that's what I love about it so much, is that there's something for everyone and you're there to actually learn. You know what I say about that, Sheila, that knowledge is power. It absolutely is. But there's something about actually acting on that knowledge that makes it powerful. And tell us a little bit about how you help people to act on the knowledge that they're going to be getting as a result of attending the classes in the Reboot Academy.
Well, there's sitting there and seeing a class, or there's reading something, but these are multimedia courses that are videos and audio files and reading. These are downloadable, actionable things that there are, but it's also the getting together and having a coach in your back pocket where you can talk about your issues and discuss what's going on. It's delivering affirmations, which we've talked about a couple times, but I'm a firm believer that words have power. They mean something. And we have so many mean things and ways we judge ourselves all the time. and rebooting that mindset to something that is about health and vitality and feeding your body, mind, and soul in a way that sends you out into the world as the vibrant being you are, the vital, thriving person, the woman that you can be. There is another chapter for you. You do not have to settle for the health and the lifestyle you do now. And it starts with rebooting the holidays, not letting yourself go down that spiral during the holidays. Start off this next year on the right foot. Really, not on your back foot, not like one step behind and dreading, start with a bang, really get into it. Yeah, there's a real difference. And I got to tell you, my whole reboot took 3 years because I didn't have a me. I am the coach that I wanted to be. And I'm called the Undiet Coach. I didn't name myself that. I see it underneath my name there. Someone just said, I'm not dieting, I'm undieting. You're my Undiet Coach. And it's stuck.
And it's stuck. And it makes absolutely sense. And I cannot stress enough how important it is to be able not just to get the knowledge, but to have the support to act on the knowledge, because many times that's where people fall down. That's where we have a challenge, is that we lose our mojo, our motivation, our inspiration. We beat up on ourselves when we make a mistake or something, we fall off the wagon or whatever. But when you're working with that support, then you're able to be coddled and encouraged and inspired to keep going, because the end result is so wonderful when you reach it there.
Yes. And the Academy also has something else that's a vital, vital part, an essential part of a true transformation. And that is community. It has a community there where you can share what's going on. There is a journal that's an online journal just for you to see, where you can track your progress and see what's going on with you. And anytime you take a course, it's available to you for the rest of your life. As long as you're on the Academy, you can go and you look up what the course is and go back to it and see what's happening. And if you're thinking, I wouldn't be able to do those lives during the Ultimate Holiday Reboot, I'm working, I couldn't do that. The times are all over the place for that reason, so that everybody has a chance to sit in on a live one. But they're also available on replay for people who are registered for the course.
And that's good too. But I also say to that is that we make time to run to Starbucks. We make time to go to Target. We make time to, run over to Target, all these different places.
Watch 3 hours of TV at night.
Right, exactly. So now here's an opportunity to make some time for yourself, because it really is about ultimately self-care. And you hear a lot about that lately, but I think it's because its time has finally come. That is a caveat, ultimately, between being unwell and staying unwell, is deciding to make yourself a priority and setting those self-care principles, getting the information and the knowledge that you need to take better care of you. And some others will say, well, yeah, but I don't have time. That's when I hear, or, oh yeah, I don't have enough money. But I say to myself, well, you know what? You either pay for it on the front end or the back end. And let me tell you, when you've paid for it on the back end, you're not there to enjoy it, okay? Someone else is spending your money burying you and having services and all of that.
Or the cost of an MRI later on, or the 6 months in the ICU that I had because I had being collapsed.
Exactly. You don't, if you don't want to spend your money like that, go ahead and spend your money on you. You're the best investment ever. That's what I think. We're the best investment. Our own selves are our best investment. And really uptick the quality of your life so that you do not just live a long time, but have a quality in the longevity of the life that you're living. There's such a big difference.
Yeah. And if you're wondering I love this holiday reboot thing. What's the cost? It is less than even before the early bird 20% off that you're going to be getting for being one of Lynnis's gals. It is less than the cost of going in during the time of the holiday reboot. If you went in and bought one Starbucks drink a day, it's less than the cost of that.
Less than that. Come on, guys. And I know, especially during the holidays, we're all sneaking in to drink the sugar. The Starbucks.
6 pumps of caramel, please.
Oh my God, there's so much sugar in that stuff.
Oh, I have a great tip for your ladies talking about Starbucks. All of the powdered sugar substitutes, like when people go in and they have the powdered packets, the yellow one, the blue one, the green one, and this in the raw and that in the raw and the whatever.
Right.
Look on start reading labels. That's my number one tip to everybody. Start educating yourself, just turning things around and looking at them, and pick up one of those packets, put your glasses on because it's like 0.5 font.
Right.
The number one, what is the number one ingredient? Do you know?
No, what is it?
Dextrose. You know what dextrose is?
Oh, yeah.
Sugar.
Yes.
Anything with an OSE is sugar. One of the things we learn are the 600 ways that sugar is listed on things. You'd be shocked. Oh my gosh, that's sugar. Oh, that's sugar. Oh, that's sugar.
And then you wonder
There is
why.
no powdered erythritol. There is no there's no powdered stevia. All of that is powdered sugar that
Wow.
is the carrier for the substitute. On top of it, those substitutes, the way it registers as sweet in your brain is it
Exactly.
works on the sugar center tasting of part of your brain, and it's 70 to 700 times, depending on the brand, as sweet as real sugar. Well, your body has a response to that. It releases insulin and all kinds of tumble down hormones, cortisol, etc., thinking it just got 700 teaspoons of sugar in. And so for a lot of people who think, well, I'm having sugar-free gum, and I'm having sugar-free candy, and I'm having sugar-free this and sugar-free that, and sugar-free soda, and step away from the processed
here's
foods.
something else about dextrose. It is highly addictive. Have you ever wondered? And this happened to me this summer because, I was traveling all summer long,
Yes,
5 months, having
you had a
great
lot
time.
of travel. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot of travel, great time. I also did Starbucks with my daughters when I was visiting. That was one of the things that we did.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
so about those packets.
Yes.
There, yeah.
And normally I don't do it here at home. I get home and all of a sudden I'm like, gee, I would love to have a Starbucks. I never say that before, but it slowly gets addictive. I could begin to taste what the Starbucks was going to taste like, and
all the pumps of the flavors,
all of that. Then I realized, oh my God, this is out of control. This is out of control. So I stopped cold turkey. I might have broken into sweats and shivering in a corner, but I stopped it.
Well, you did the launch pad. You did the Reboot launch pad program, the 30-day reset your body program. We're going to be doing that again in January, ladies. We're doing another launch pad in January. The people who did that are getting so much success. It is ridiculous. So we're tracking them now, down the road. It's a really good one. And a lot of people say, what do you mean you want me to put down the sugar? And it's like, yeah. You're going to put the only way to stop having sugar in your body is to stop putting sugar in your body.
In there.
Right.
Well, that goes along with the only way to drop those unwanted pounds and inches is to really take a look at what you're putting in your mouth. I mean,
well, do you know why you were shaking and shivering and everything? You were actually jonesing. You were actually
growing. Yeah.
You were on withdrawal.
Yeah.
And I had one client, a very quick story, I promise, named Shannon. Shannon is the older sister of my best friend since 6th grade. So I know Shannon really well. And she got on and she did brilliantly on the Reboot and has continued it since and continued losing tons of weight. I'm so proud of Shannon. So she had a hard time giving up her biscuits and cookies and crackers and cakes. And her family was bringing it all into the house and asking her to cook it. It was really very difficult Reboot for her. And she said, Sheila, I didn't feel good all week. On her form, I have these forms that people fill out every week. And I was shaky. I was sweaty. I was talking to myself and walking around in circles. I couldn't sleep. I was jittery. And, we made biscuits and gravy with dinner. And, I had a couple biscuits and I felt better. I think I'm a person who needs just to eat biscuits. And I said, Shannon, instead of biscuits and gravy, why don't you talk about, say, heroin? She's like, what? I said, just say heroin. All right. So she said, so I was shaky. I was sweaty. I was not feeling good. I was talking to myself, walking in circles, couldn't sleep. I was jittery. And then I had some heroin and I felt so much better. I think I'm a person who needs heroin.
Wow. There you go. You're like,
and she was like, oh, and she quit that day. She was like, oh, I'm addicted. I'm like, yes. And it's not your fault, honey. It's built that way.
That's right.
That way.
And Sheila, we could talk forever about this because it's such an important topic. And so many people have so many questions. I want everyone to know, first of all, if you take a look at the show page, all of Sheila's links are there. The link to the Reboot Academy, the early Reboot opportunity. Her website is there. Her social media is there. Everything is there. I want all of you to get in there, take a look at stuff, sign up for stuff, and definitely follow her on social media. And for those of you who are in the Patreon group, we're going to have a bonus interview with Sheila. So but we're not going to do it on the main podcast. You have to go over to Patreon to get that. The link to Patreon is also going to be in the show page as well. Before we leave, Sheila, what's the one thing that you want to share with everyone when it comes to their overall wellness that you think will help them during the holidays?
The number one tip that I can give you, ladies, it's all about your mindset. If you look at all those sweets differently, if you look at it like the poison that it is, and step away from what all these chemists and big conglomerate companies want you to consume, really educate yourself. The skill, that muscle, that success that you can have comes from being able to say, instead of, oh, I can't have cookies, and feeling Debbie Downer about not being able to have Christmas cookies, and saying, I won't put that junk in my body anymore. If you can get there, you're good. You're golden. We're done. Drop the mic. Because once you make that, cross that bridge to, I won't put that junk, because now I know what it does to me. It's controlling me. I'm being controlled by conglomerates. I'm not doing that anymore.
Absolutely.
I know my people are going to be fine when they get there, but you can do it too.
Absolutely.
You can do that by simply stepping away from the heroin, stepping away from all the sugar, looking at it as the sugar and processed foods is manipulating you, which it is, especially during the holidays, the way they do that, rebooting all of that, doing a reboot. Come check out the holiday reboot, see if you can do it. But the one thing you can do is take those first steps. When you do, and you declare that I'm a person who takes care of my health, and when someone says, what are you doing? And rather than saying, well, I'm giving this up for a while, or I'm gritting my teeth through the holidays, I've just decided to be a person who takes care of my health. Boy, when that identity shift happens, that's when it really starts popping.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's the one biggest tip I can give you.
Thank you so much for being here on the V.I.B.E Living Podcast. It's been wonderful having you here today. I'm glad we finally got you on. Yes. And thank you to all of you who have decided to spend some time with us here on V.I.B.E Living Podcast. All the information you need to know about Sheila is on the show page, and all the links leading to her wonderful programs, her websites, and social media are on the show page. And don't forget, the Patreon link is there for you to click on, and that way you get a chance to see and hear her bonus interview. But in the meantime, have a fantastic day. It's been wonderful having you. And don't forget to vibe, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the V.I.B.E Living Podcast. Please feel free to download, rate, share, and like the show. To find out more about living a V.I.B.E life, go to my website at wellnesswoman40.com or email me at vibelivingpodcast@gmail.com. Have a fantastic day, and don't forget to vibe.